So I know this might sound weird, but you shopping for car insurance or home insurance, it's called personal lines, could actually cause you to have a worse deal. It's kind of crazy. The rates are going astronomical, and I'm sure a lot of you are looking to shop and you're looking for advice like this. The reason I say that is because a lot of the agents out there, even the ones that have been in the industry for a decade, still don't get this major piece of insurance. The other part that we're talking about is the shift that's happening. If you notice, a lot of these companies, like Allstate, for example, used to be one type of company. It was just Allstate agents. Now, I, in Michigan, can sell Allstate, or other places in other states can sell Allstate. So they've opened up their book of business to allow independent agents, which have become the most powerful part of the network. You have your exclusive agents. Those are people that can only sell farmers, can only sell State Farm. Used to be Allstate. Your big companies. And in some states, those are very competitive, but they're starting to notice that more people are shifting to your independent agents because they can shop you around multiple companies. That's also why a lot of these companies made sub-companies. You've got Farmers that owns Bristol West. You've got Allstate that owns Esurance. You've got Liberty Mutual that owns Safeco. So there's all of these sub-companies that they've been doing, and they're noticing that they're getting a lot more traction because they can partner with these agencies that are doing the networking for them, that are doing the commercial, that are doing all of the advertising and pulling in the customers, where on the other end, they're paying more for an agent and giving them bonuses and benefits and all of that, where they're only giving a little bit over to these guys, and these guys are outperforming. So what's the next step for you? What's the problem that we're having? Well, these guys over here, the independent agents and the exclusive agents, both of them are having this problem because a lot of the agents are newer. We have lost agents, about 20 to 30,000 agents across the U.S. over 2021 to 2022, but a lot of that is because most of the agent owners are retiring. And that means that there's a lot of new people coming into the market to take over that space. Here's the problem. I am guilty of it every once in a while too, where I will ask you for a deck page. I want to see your current policy. That way I can compare. Now, the main reason that I'm doing it is so that I can actually compare the coverages that you have and see if there's any gaps. It gives me a really good, strong talking path to say, hey, you're missing this. Hey, this isn't part of your policy. Here's some really high warnings that I suggest you fix. Even if I'm not the fit and you don't go with me, at least you know that that coverage is something that you need to correct. So the problem that most people are falling into is the agents that are new and are just busy. They're buying leads, they're doing all this work, and they're just hustling to get by to make enough money. They're trying to make 50 to 100,000 a year. That's really their goal. The average agent makes about 50 to 55,000 per year. And so what they're doing is they're overlooking the benefits to you. A lot of people don't realize that there's so many benefits that some companies offer that actually give you cash back, that give you accident forgiveness, that give you gap insurance, that give you under service line coverage, that give you a boost on your policy, that give you better mileage programs so you pay less money. But because we're taking your policy, and you were ingrained in this too, it's kind of both of our faults where you're shopping and you don't have the time to talk to an agent to get that advice, and we're taking the policy you have and just duplicating it. So now all we're doing is we're shopping price. If I can get the price down, there's a good chance I win. That's kind of common in general. That's one of the reasons you probably came to this video in the first place, is you're likely shopping or you're an agent looking for that advice. The problem is when you do that, you're creating a market just like Amazon has, where a lot of people have gone on there and they're trying to get your business, but it's always chopping each other's prices down. And that's just a recipe for disaster. As we noticed in Florida, for example, some companies have gone out of business completely. A lot of that has to do with their pricing model wasn't competitive for the claims that they expected. So how do you combat this? How do you actually shop insurance with a company or multiple companies without having to deal with that copy and paste mentality? I can tell you our agency, unfortunately, we're only in Michigan at the time, but we currently do that as well. In other states, I have referrals that I can give you if you want to fill out the quote below. But what I would recommend is start with your current agent. Don't necessarily leave them in the dust. Give them the opportunity and do a coverage review to make sure that you have the right coverage. If you start to get kind of an inkling that maybe this person isn't thinking of me in their best interest, they're too busy to talk to me about my policy, that shouldn't be the case, or at least they should schedule time for you, because if they want to keep your business, they've got to be on their toes. The other piece is to go to Google and pull up their reviews for the agency. I don't recommend looking up the company because 9 out of 10 times nobody has a good review on insurance companies. It's clear as day. It's the 5th most hated thing in the nation, and people don't love the fact that it's forced. They don't love the fact that the prices have gone up. And I get it. No one's going to take the time to research the exact reasons that the cost of cars, repairs have almost quadrupled time frame. So the time frame to get your car back from a shop is about 80 some odd % longer than it was 2 years ago. The cost to buy a sensor, if the sensor is even available, and is it an OEM, an original equipment part? And there's all these rules and guidelines now that have gone up, which is causing the insurance to go up. In the pandemic, they made really well because there wasn't people driving. They're still taking premiums. But now they're the opposite. The premiums going out because people are actually driving. That's one of the biggest things I would say. If you're going to shop for car insurance or home insurance or any type of insurance, make sure that the person you know is knowledgeable. Do they lead the conversation with something we call liability? Are they talking about the coverage, not the price? That's one of the shifts that we've made, and we've noticed it makes all the difference when we're talking to customers. Sometimes we have policies where customers are paying $100 to $200 more per year, but they're getting the coverage that they should have had in the first place. No one wants to shop and pay more, but sometimes you unfortunately find that the coverage you had before was no better than your owed money if something happens written on a scratched piece of paper. A star was stamped on it that said, "Thanks for being us for 10 years," and you weren't covered worth a dime. Just be careful when you have that. Make sure that the agent that you're working with does have that advice and knows what they're talking about and can answer those questions. If they're new, it doesn't mean they don't necessarily have the answers for you, but if they're willing to put the work in and give you that correctly, then you're good. I know we work with our agents and we're constantly going back and forth between each other because not everybody knows everything. Sometimes we have to call the company, call the underwriter, just to make sure that we're giving you the right coverage and we're saying it correctly. We are liable for things that we say, so we have to be very careful on how we say them as well. So I'm curious to know if you guys have come across this, if you've noticed some of the agents that you're dealing with just don't have a clue of what they're talking about. They just say, "Hey, what's your current liability limits? Oh yeah, what's your property damage? What's your uninsured motorist? Do you carry medical payments? Do you want towing and road service? Do you want rental car? Do you want this, this, this?" You feel like you just drove up to McDonald's or Burger King and just said, "Hey, I'd like a Big Mac with fries." Okay, great. It's cheaper over across the road, so I'm just going to drive over there real quick and get it. Now, the other question is, when the claim happens, who's the company that's going to take care of you? Is the agent going to be available to help, or is the company going to have access to them? That's another thing to think about when you're shopping for car insurance. You've got to be a little bit more careful when you're shopping. I get it. If you got this far in the video, leave a comment below, because I am willing to bet that 80% of the people got annoyed or bored because that's just the cold hard truth and nobody wants to hear it. So if you are shopping for car insurance, like I said, make sure that you have the agent that's correct for you. Make sure the company's the right fit or you will pay more, and make sure that they're going to take care of you correctly. Hopefully it was helpful. If you guys need to learn more about the coverages, I'm going to link a video to my Insurance 101, and it goes a little bit in depth on the car insurance. There's also a Home Insurance 101 that goes over the specific details of your policy. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are. If you've had any questions, put them in the comments below. Otherwise, I'm Mark with Think Insurance. I'll see you in the next one.